inexpensive, and if you're serious about buying a home, it's a huge investment. And it can be a money pit as well, so to have someone who knows the ins and outs and can point things out to you, it's worth it. I know people are like, oh, I done looked at 20 houses, look at them, but if you fill in one of the houses, invest a couple $100, so somebody can be like, oh, you need a new roof, or your foundation leak, you need new plumbing, or you got cracked rafters. The electrical, it's been cut and snipped or rigged up. You might have to have electricity. You got fuses, you need circuit breakers. So it's a lot of questions that they can answer for you, and everybody's not out to just take your money. Because like with me, I want word of mouth. I've been doing this over 25 years, and I only advertise for workers. Somebody always calls.
Okay, so my philosophy, if I was gonna teach a newcomer or anyone in general, is your entry point. You heard the term, first home buyer, you know, people. Okay, so their entry level consists of what they can purchase. So as an investor, you have to gauge yourself. What can you purchase? What money you have? What are your resources? What are your capital? Because you might enter the market on your purchase price is low, but your investment to get the house prepared could be high. So you have to, in my opinion, you should be either low, medium, or high. And that's your determination based on the money you have. So when I entered into the market to start doing flips, my first flips, I think, were in Lakeville Village in Southfield. They were over 80 and 90 and $100,000 purchases. They didn't have all those problems. They really just had cosmetic issues. And then I got good at learning electrical, plumbing, and then I branched out into dilapidated houses, which still you get some surprises in. So my whole basis for this answer is to say, find your entry point and where you're comfortable. And always get information from someone who has nothing to win out of this situation. You can't talk to the seller, okay, nor the wholesaler, okay? You gotta get someone that, I always say, they don't have any skin in this game. They're not gonna benefit from your decision, because then they're gonna be very objective.
One thing, I just want to add, I know it's not really a question.
Could you first tell us who you are?
My name is Johnny Swift II, so I'm just attending, I've worked with True right here. So, yeah, Mr. Everything. So, one other thing I would say is, look at the age of the home. So they can foretell environmental issues, plumbing issues, a lot of stuff that was built prior to 1970. Looking for lead, asbestos, all those types of things, which will cost you a lot of money. But also, could potentially move a family in there, whether you're renting out or yourself moving in there, can cause some issues with your health wise. So, those are some big things to look out for.
Thank you. Next question, on that same vein, you guys brought it up. When I buy a house, do I need to switch the electric box from fuse to breaker? If so, why? Like, is that necessary?
I think so.
Go ahead, expand, please.
Okay, cause, I used to have 5 apartment buildings and, 50 homes. I got rid of all of that, but when I had fuses, one of my tenants had the apartment with so much stereo equipment, it kept blowing fuse. So he put a penny in the fuse box, tightened it down, and set my building on fire. Set my building on fire, cause it hard, fire started in the walls. And I don't know for the life of me why people stayed in there while the fire was going. I took an hour to get there and I put the fire out myself, and then the fire department came, tore the building up, to make sure everything else was good, but it's dangerous. It's dangerous because technology now is far more advanced and it requires more energy than back then when you just had fuses and you might have had a radio or one TV where you got now all these computers, all these TVs, everything, all these gadgets, and you load up 2 plugs with all these extensions and just pull it out. Yes.
Why did they put the penny? What was that?
Cause it won't blow.
Oh, they were trying to block.
It continue, yeah.
learn something. Not to do.
Don't learn that. Don't do it.
All right, somebody else, do I need to switch my fuse box over to, breaker box, yes or no? And if so, when would be the appropriate times versus you don't have to do it? Or is there such an inappropriate time you don't have to do it?
So I think the answer is always yes. He just had a prime example. I mean, if I tell investors all the time when we're looking at buying houses or we're looking at getting into the money of what it's gonna cost, that, you know, there's a lot of them looking to pinch pennies and they think, well, I don't have to do it, code and all this kind of stuff, but it costs you a lot more money in the long run if you don't do it now. You know, just spend the money, do it right, get it done the right way, and you could have a really nice rental property or if it's a flip or whatever, but don't cheap it out in the beginning because it's gonna cost you more in the long run,
Exactly.
every single time.
So Joe, like you're saying, so code says you don't have to, as long as it's operating, but you, as professionals, you know they're gonna overload, just with dishwashers and modern technology, they're gonna overload those circuits.
Correct.
And so they're putting off the inevitable, basically.
Correct.
So it would pass inspection if it's working and everything else is fine? Cause your electric's on, right?
It all depends on the inspector in
Exactly.
that city. It's different. You go to post cities, you get four different.
100%. Exactly right.
And it's still not, if you still got knobs and tools, and then one thing you can look for is when you go in an older house, when it's been arcing, you'll see little fire damage by the plugs. That's when they loading up a lot of stuff in that one area, and just letting you know it's not carrying enough.
And let me just say that just the fact that you change the breaker box out don't mean you'll resolve that problem, because
Exactly, you can have
it,
one.
like in a new house, you may have to pull 5 circuits for a kitchen. You know, the microwave, different things get different. In an old house, it might be only 1 or 2 circuits just for the kitchen. So the fact that you change the box out don't resolve, you only still got 1 circuit, and it still can go out if you overload it. So the fix for it is to pull new circuits also. So it's just not just change the box out, you have to, you know.
Question.
Oh, related to this?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, please, go ahead.
You spoke on no knob and tube. I walked a house that had knob and tube in it. Should that all be replaced?
Yes.
Okay, so I
Knob
heard,
tube is, you'll see little white knobs, and then you'll see a wire running through.
On the break box?
No,
No,
throughout the house,
Oh.
basement and the walls. Yeah, that's very old.
the guy, the speaker on the end said something grandfather, that's not grandfather in, that just needs to be replaced, period, right?
People living in houses where it's still in there, and then they tap into it with new wires.
So if you see, oh,
If
okay.
you see it, if you're not gonna rewire, I wouldn't play with it.
But
I would just say get a certified electrician,
Yes.
because you wanna keep it at 15 amps, cause it's older wire, you don't, like I just got a house in Detroit, I was last week, the guy, he was putting 20 amp wire, cause they cut all the wire out the basement, so he was running 20 amp wire, and he didn't understand the weakest link in the chain is this northern tube, or the wire you're attaching to, so you got 20 amp breakers, 20 amp wire you running, but you attach it to a 15 amp wire, and so
You're gonna burn it up.
exactly. So sometimes people think if they put bigger in is better, and that's my first sign of knowing that the person that's installing it is not a professional, cause they don't they think like furnace and all of it, they just put it all in big and they think that's gonna, you know, that's my first sign knowing the amateur did it, you know what I'm saying?
And let me magnify that urge if your investment strategy is for rentals, because you don't know what the tenant's gonna do. I went into a house today, in fact, Langston was with me, it was a up and down flat on 3 Mile Drive. They blew the circuit on one of their things, so they had one of their friends who knows how to do something, came in and jumped it from one to the other, and they got the furnace running off of two breakers. They used a big wire hanging down on the floor to jump it. I'm like, stop, just stop. You don't never know what your tenants are gonna be in that house doing, so just do it right.
How many outlets do you need per room?
Say it again?
Outlets, plug-in outlets. How many outlets per room is the question?
I believe it's every 6 feet.
Roughly on each wall, unless it's a big room, but most rooms are 10 by 11. So if you get one on each wall, you pretty much got it.
You,
kids to go through Section 8 rentals, they want 2 outlets in each room, like minimum. Like bedrooms, 2 outlets, every room minimum, if I remember correctly, so. All right, last question that came in, and then I'll open up to you guys. Tarping the roof versus replace. Best practices. Tarping, not tarping, yeah, tarping, no, I meant, patching the roof versus replace.
Oh.
Best practices.
That's a little bit better.
I wrote tarping, I meant to write patching. Patching the roof versus replace, best practices.
Replace.
Well, let me say, if you got 15 houses and you're dealing with a whole bunch of different things, you have to balance out what's important and what's not important. Like, I got 2 houses and I need roofs, but I bought this stuff that you can paint over, and it actually turned out pretty good. So I'm just saying, I also have been working there for 25 years, and I watch how they do business, and sometimes the door needs to get tore up, they may wait 3 months to replace it because they're working out of a budget. So just because something needs to be done exactly don't mean you have to, work it to the right timing, you know what I'm saying? So, like I say, right now, I got 2 roofs that I'll probably get in the summertime, but then I get all these inspections, and they got to replace cement. It's just a lot of stuff you gotta deal with. It ain't that simple as it sounds. You got to know how to balance what's important, when you're gonna do it, and, put it on the agenda.
Let me ask you guys the same question a different way. Going out to assess, roofs, which is the largest expense of any house is the roof. When you give your professional opinion, what do you see that can be patched versus what do you see that this is, gotta replace it? Like, I don't know how else to really describe it for this person's asking the question. Like, what, as a layman, what should we be thinking about in our budget? Even to buy a house, or you already got a rental, is, it depends on the leak, depends on the width and, what does it depend on? We'll make it, gotta replace it versus you can patch it.
The cost to repair it. What caused the leak, the age of the roof, and like you said, where you are financially.
Is code still 2 layers in Michigan?
Yeah, still 2
But a
layers.
lot of them got.
Well, we know that. If the left, if we buy, we have 3 layers, but. So does everybody know what I mean when I say the code is 2 layers? That means if you buy a house that's got 2 layers on it, you don't have the luxury of putting another roof on. You gotta tear it all off, fix any dry rot or wood. Now you gotta put the weather shit on and some modern shingles. You'd be better off, but after 2 layers, you don't have no choice. With 1 layer, you could just put another one on top. Back to you guys, sorry about that.
Well, how I suggest things, like somebody on a tight budget and their roof is bad as multiple layers, the cheapest route, I suggest tarping it. But I tell them, make sure your gutters are operational, because that can cause foundation problems, and you're spending more money. Because a lot of people neglect gutters, it'll rot out your, roof tip ends, when you start seeing a fascia and soffit rotting out, that's making the roof far more expensive. It's only, you can get an average guy coming down the street for 30 to 50 bucks to clean your gutters or buy the shields and put them in there, make sure everything is flowing away from the house. And it's just simple steps that you can do to just minimize the damage, but be knowledgeable, know what's going on, so you can plan for it, save up the money, and address it at a later date.
I don't wanna peel this onion back too much, there's a million scenarios. But, so, how many people flip their flippers? They're just straight flippers? Just 1 person? So the rest of people are buying whole?
I do some, but they're more cosmetic.
Okay, so there's an answer for both of you, okay? So Chuck will tell you, I work with the banks, and there's a program, we're talking about Detroit right now, where it's called the Detroit Home Mortgage Program, okay? So you're able to sell this property, let's say the roof is a little iffy, okay? But you're able to do some of the cosmetics, some of the other stuff, and then the purchaser could take on that roof cost in their mortgage, okay? There's some things you just need to be educated on to find out. And, you asked, why did I go to become an appraiser? Cause the lenders teach me all of it. So all these programs come up to create value. I'm schooled on it, taught on it, and so I have the privy of being in the middle, okay? So if you're buying whole, you want that house to last. So consider You know, it's not a house until the foundation is right, the roof is right, the electrical is working. You know, you got a house, you live in a house. You don't want your water not working when you turn it on. So you believe me, I've been a landlord since '99. That phone call Friday night, you going out with your wife at 8 o'clock, and that diverter ain't working. Okay, that you knew you should have changed. Okay, but going back to the roof situation, it is the most dollar for dollar investment you'll make, because you can pretty the house up as best you want, nice cabinetry, nice carpet, but if your roof is leaking, you're gonna create a mold issue somewhere, and after a while it becomes a safety issue. So, get good answers about roofs, is all I can say. Find you a good person who can say, hey, this needs to be redone, you know?
I just throw in there too, you also won't be able to get the house insured either. If they see enough, damage
From the outside, too.
True.
I think he, made a mention earlier of gutters. I mean, that's something that's very overly neglected. We look at the roof, we look at but gutters, that's a big issue. Make sure you deal with your gutters.
Hey, Joe, I got two questions that came in through my phone. That was the next question, so expand on that. They said, gutters missing. Like, what type of damage can be done to a house you have gutters on? Y'all got a layman's term, y'all know what that means, what does that mean?
Foundation issues, leaky basements, leaky crawls.
If it's not a brick house, the siding issue. So, if you have gutters, the worst, some of the things it can do, if it's a brick house, okay, it's gonna leak down the side. I had one last week where a brand new gutter job, brand new nice, we're flipping this house, and they did the gutter wrong where it's just spilling, okay? And now in the basement, it's taking on water, okay? So I had to fix that, and I'm waiting to see if it rains again, if we got a bigger issue, I'll deal with it. But the one that concern me the most are the vinyl houses and the asbestos houses and the wood houses, because that water is gonna damage it, okay? If it gets behind the vinyl, so, I fail houses consistently for, especially for FHA. You try to flip the house, sell it FHA, you'd be surprised how many people water is not supposed to be near your house. You're supposed to get it away, okay? It's supposed to hit that roof, hit that gutter, hit that downspout, and be pushed away. And that's the first thing you do. And I have a philosophy when I'm looking to buy a house. I walk around it first. I don't go in it because I don't want to be impressed by what I see inside. I want to see, do I have grading issues? Do I have foundation issues, water issues? Is the grading slope toward the house? Those are all things that contribute to it, and gutters is high on that list.
And if it's a big tree in the front yard, because that's a sign you're gonna have a sewer problem. So one of the things I'm looking at the trees, I wanna know which way the sewer line going back, if it's coming to the front, I see a big tree, I already know you're gonna have a problem. But the roots is gonna get down in there and grow into the pipes. I had 2 houses, I just had sewer problem, just every time I go out of town, we got a sewer problem. Sewer problem. It took me about 5 years to figure it out. And anyway, long story short, I had the man cut that tree down and cut that tree down, done. So now I look for trees, some trees that been put in 1950, that's 50 foot tall, those trees gonna give you a problem with that sewer.
You're right, I had that problem over in Rosedale Park. I had a tree in the backyard on the front. I had to have my whole basement dug up.
Detroit has a lot of old trees, but to the wholesalers like me, use that to your advantage, talk that price down, because you know it's a problem coming.
Like that's $3,000 to get that down.
Trees
Trees will also bust up your sidewalks too.
Yeah.
You see that, you'll seize the sidewalks as well, so use that to your advantage, everything use to your advantage, as far as your knowledge on houses. And this is the last question, and I'm opening up to you guys. Brick versus frame, why everybody want brick and then nobody want frame? Opinions, go ahead.
Well, with a brick, you know what it is. With a frame house, you can put siding to cover rotted, termite damage. There's so many things you can hide where it'll look pretty to the eye, and you won't find out till you're in there living like, how does that wall freeze? It's not properly insulated, it's rotted out, you hit it good, I've seen the whole back of a house fall off. So with brick, you know it's up there, and if it's not good, you'll see it.
The protection, as well, so, the wood of the drive, right out, brick, just don't say that.
Most people like brick houses, that's why I buy like. Brick houses, that's what I like, they got no rubber feel, that's my rule, I try to buy brick, I only bought one frame house. That's cause I got a good deal on it, I got $15,000, I couldn't turn it down. In reality is that $15,000 house, I'm getting $825 a month for, and it's actually making as much money as the other houses. So sometimes you can get a good deal on a framed house if you get it cheap enough. So you can't rule it out, cause if you can get one for $1,000 and put about 7 in and keep it under 10,000, 12,000, you can make some money on it.
Yeah, I would just say that this, same thing that he said down here, you just never know, you can hide anything behind a frame house. And then echo what he said earlier, and just hire a professional. You're gonna buy a frame house, have somebody look at it, and, we just was working with an investor a couple months ago on Outer Drive, bought a beautiful, beautiful house, just an awesome house. And she walked through it, she bought it, got sold a big line, and she had me come over, and I went and looked at the house after she had already closed on it, and as soon as we walked into the back, there was a big addition on this brick house that was framed, and of course, where they connected the addition to the house wasn't properly done, and all that water for several years had been leaking down in there. And I was walking over by the floor, and I said, "You didn't see this when you bought it?" The whole floor was sinking in, so then I looked at it, that whole wall, that exterior wall was wobbling, we had to replace the whole thing. We had to jack the thing up, build a whole new wall there, and there she was, thousands of dollars that she didn't account for because of the fact that she didn't know what was behind that siding.
I have a question. All you guys have mentioned, like, hiring someone to inspect it or whatever, to come look at the house before you purchase. Do any of you guys do that?
I do that.
And what's your price for doing that?
My price for full is $450. That's with top to bottom, pictures, itemized, and a general cost estimate to get it to passable levels on all areas. If you can't afford that, I even help people where I do a walkthrough with you for $200. And I give you verbal, like, look, this is why you're gonna need a roof, plan for it, this is what's wrong with the plumbing, and you'll be knowledgeable, so when you go to buy, you can use that to negotiate a better price to help cover some of those expenses.
Okay, for the $450, are you snaking that?
I give you a full report. Like, you can be there, you'll see me get on the roof, I'm checking your chimney, how many layers of shingles, I'm gonna get in your attic, see if it's cedar shank. If it's cedar shank and you need a roof, that means everything has to come off. It has to be redecked. I look at your gutter, I look at the pitch on the house, I look at the foundation, I look for cracks, I check the basement for crack joists, look at the plumbing, look at the electrical. We walk through, I look for the floor to bounce, steps, windows. And when we leave, you know a fraction of what I know, and you feel more comfortable making your decision to purchase or walk away.
Okay, so when, for the $200 and you walk through a house, after you walk through it, I know it's not a written one, but could you give an estimate on the repairs?
Yeah, we're talking numbers right there, yeah.
Okay.
And we'd be very close. And what I would tell you, how everybody, well, I know somebody.
Okay.
Make sure they're professional, because if you can save and get a family member or friend to do a professional job, it's worth it. But you knowing somebody and they do it wrong, gonna cost you more money to have somebody come and take that down and do it right.
Okay, and do you do fire damage control?
Yes.
Doing when selecting a contract, is it a flat rate or is everything like itemized for the job to get the house up and running?
I didn't hear what you said, I'm sorry, what was that?
Just say, I'm gonna do a rehab house, and, you come in and take a look at it, tell me what I need done. Is it just one flat rate, or is everything like itemized with every project that needs to be done in the house? So,
Are you asking?
So what I'm
somebody
getting
give you
at-
an estimate?
right, so what I'm getting at, say, if you itemize everything that needs to be done in the house, and I have someone else come in there, and they can do it cheaper, I can get both of you guys to work on the house at the same time, or you do what you do and I hire him to do what he do. That's what I'm saying, I'm trying to save money is what I'm saying.
To deal with right there.
Okay, wait a minute, guys, so you're asking most people to come in and do the same bid or different bids
No, what
for
I'm
different
saying,
things?
so what I'm saying, all right, how many contracts should you have come in looking at a house?
How many can you paint?
Just one?
Well,
But what I'm,
ideally, you wanna have multiple bids, you wanna look for.
exactly. Right, so everything be itemized or just one flat rate?
Well, when you have multiple contractors, right, some contractors cover everything,
Right.
which I feel is the best route, because now you have accountability. But if you got 4 contractors, everybody doing something, and somebody's like, well, I did my job, you supposed to do all that finger pointing, I don't like none of that.
So, all right.
You want somebody who gonna just take care of it, like, okay, I got it, this is my team, I got electricians, I got plumbers, we all work together, and we get you a finished product.
So, I tell you what, before I did this, I was in property management, and I managed about 500 properties, and obviously, when you're dealing with that many properties, you don't just, throw money away, right? You gotta do things the right way. So what we used to do is we would pay somebody we had somebody who we paid similar to what my brother was talking about a minute ago, and do basically a line item estimate for us, like basically an analysis of what was going on in the house. And then we would allow several contractors to look at that list and bid that list for us, right, price-wise. So now, what that does is, it allows people to bid apples to apples, because what would happen is, if you send him to go in here, he might go and do a real thorough job and give you this whole rundown of it, of what needs to be done in the house, and give you a $30,000 estimate, and then I come in there and I say, oh, I could do that for $6,000. But we're not bidding apples to apples here, he's covering everything. I'm just saying I'm gonna throw some paint on the walls or something, if you have some lines that both contractors are saying, this is what needs to be done based on this professional that I paid to give me a list, and let these contractors bid that list, that would be the most cost effective to you, although there's a little bit of money up front in having somebody make that list for you.
Any other questions?
I just want to speak on contract. It's probably one of the hardest things in the business, finding a contractor. You have what we call a general contractor, and he might sub out electrical, plumbing, mechanical. Then you might have people that say, I do it all, and it's just it's a very difficult thing. I mean, even me, I have problems finding people to get things done, and then people overprice, overcharge, and I mean, it's a very hard thing to deal with. Like me, I do heating and cooling. I'm a licensed contractor. I can pull permits, but I work out of my house. I got a van, and I go to and then this company B, they got a shop on 7 Mile. Quite naturally, their price is gonna be a little higher, because they have to pay unemployment insurance and all these other things. And so here, this guy, he don't have all that overhead, but yet he trying to charge the price this guy over here charging. You understand what I'm saying? So, and then people say they do it all. The reality is, if you don't have a license, I mean, very few people, you know what a license says? It says, I know the code. That's really what a license says. Not whether you have the skill set to do it, is I know the current code to do. That's what a license says. A lot of people don't have a license. They say they do stuff, and it might look good to your eye, but to a licensed mechanical, a licensed electrician, is not up to code. And I see a lot of that, where I go, I see a lot of stuff that's not done up to code.
So if the contractor's job is not done in the time he said should be done, should he be charged for that?
If it's in your contract.
So make sure that's in the contract.
I'm starting to incentivize my contract. It's gonna cost you some money each day you're not done.
Right.
I'm starting to incentivize, because with the amount of work out here today, because of the economy and Detroit's revitalization, I've been stuck with contractors just, but I fight that hard, because when they done, I disappear.
Hey, Joe, can you expand on incentives?
Okay, so I give them, I buy lunch for the crew. I will tell them, if you're done by this day, it's $150 bonus. Okay, but there's also penalty. I'm starting to put penalties in, because I'm very time oriented. My patience is becoming very, and that money, it's the leash. It'll pull anybody's chain. So that's your only caveat. Don't give too much up front. Okay, always try to find somebody who because I know somebody that know that electrician that a family friend or in your family. And that's the best circle you can use, is that, you know, you got a good referral, okay?
Any other questions?
How do you know what to charge for rent? Because of the area
Yeah, basically, you do a market rent analysis.
of the houses
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
area?
yeah, rent comps, you comp your rents just like you would comp prices of a house, same thing, yeah.
Let me just say that, that's a good question. There's a lot of data out here. If you're gonna do this business, you're gonna have to get into data, okay? Know your, Joe, the Bible says, know the deflect the steady thy flocks, right? So, you're gonna get a rental, okay, if you have to put yourself in the renter's position. If you were looking to rent, what would be the first thing you do?
If I was looking to rent a house,
Yeah.
what would, the condition of the house, the
No,
area, the
no.
area it's in?
But what would you go, how would you know a house is for rent wherever you were looking to rent? What's the first thing you would do?
I'll probably go on the internet,
Or the newspaper,
the newspaper.
buy Sunday's newspaper.
Okay,
So that little $2 investment is gonna start to talk to you.
gotcha.
I use Zillow.
Zillow?
Everybody going on their phone now.
Just like if you wanna rent in a certain area, you know what, rent is, search for houses rented in that area on Zillow, and it's gonna show you what people are trying to rent for. Now, I find out that regular people, that means people that don't have aid, can't pay as much as Section 8. So if I got a Section 8 tenant, I might say I want 900. Well, I know the average person in Inkster not gonna be able to pay 900. Or if they can pay 900, why would they be in Inkster? So I get, for a regular person, I get 800, 825. And for a Section 8, now I can get 850, 875, and I just recently went up to 900. And so, you know.
Let me clarify some things that the gentleman was saying. You gotta be careful, you cannot charge different rents depending on the person's income source. So, for example, if you know you can get 900 for a house, but you know in your head, if it's somebody working at Chrysler, regular W-2 job, I'll go down to 800, your ass still gotta say 900. Cause those Section 8 people apply, you're gonna charge them full rent, you cannot look like you are being unfair. So, you wanna post the most, and
Negotiate.
And to give a deal.
I agree, because one of the questions they ask you, when you try to rent, they ask you, well, do you have any other houses, what are you renting them for? And so, I deal with 10, 12 different agencies, I deal with Plymouth, Livonia, Inkster, DHC, RPI, all of them, so everybody Taylor, you name it, I can deal with them all, but some know how to follow the rules real well, and some of them maybe not so much.
Right. But I'm saying with tenants, a lot of tenants are, even though, you gotta remember, renters are not necessarily uneducated. They just people that don't want to own, they don't want the responsibility of maintenance. They can be very, very smart. They know more rules better than you do. Which is why they get away with a lot of stuff under your nose until you realize it, until you become more seasoned as a landlord. Me, like Pastor Joe, I used to manage up to 775 units, so I've seen just about every trick in the book, 2-3 times over. But you don't wanna get caught up in any fair housing problems. Cause all somebody do is say, I'm Section 8, they charge me 900. My friend called that same house, they told them 850. You don't wanna be that landlord, cause they impose strict penalties on people. Understand fair housing and understand your rent costs. If you don't understand anything else, you wanna be a landlord. Of course, if you wanna be a landlord, you want to be in groups like this where you can learn all the things that you wouldn't even think of until you're a landlord, because it's a whole different animal than being a rehabber, because you gotta understand the fair housing rules, Section 8 rules on top of rehabs and repairs and maintenance and things like that, if you wanna do those things yourself. So just be careful with that.
And also be careful with, Section 8, the violation of that Section 8 contract is a violation of certain federal laws. Now, either a 5-year